Hey, welcome to the Honesty Hour. I just named it that. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Coach Noah Johnston. We're going to be delivering honesty for the next hour because right now it feels like the Niners are living in, I don't know, a parallel universe where, I don't know, where they're just so darned unlucky. We're going to address that. Are the Niners unlucky? Because football is a little bit like poker. There is some luck in it. I mean, Kyle can't control everything. Kyle. I love how people call Kyle Shanahan Cal.
Cal.
Especially
Cal.
Trent Williams. He always says, oh, Cal. It's like, he sounds like Cartman. Anyway, so before we talk about the Niners' luck or whatever, I want to go through the game one more time and sort of break down three key moments and ask questions. Because that's what we do here at the Honesty Hour. We ask questions and then we answer them honestly. So first question, why didn't Kyle Shanahan challenge that 4th and 3 non-catch by Devontae Smith? I mean, it was a key moment. It was 4th down. And I think, he sort of explained it, but do you want to go first or you want me to go first with this one? Like, this was key.
I think when you were on with Larry, I think Larry actually did a pretty good job of, explaining why I think it was very early in the game. And Kyle wanted to keep his timeouts and keep his challenges, and they didn't get a good look at it, so he erred on the side of caution and didn't challenge it. Where, he probably should have. I guess he, in my instance, erring on the side of caution would have been calling a timeout and then getting another look at it. But those are like key points in the game when, especially in NFL where there are challenges or coaching like that. That was a huge point in third point. That was a 4th down play, right? It wasn't
right.
a third. The
it
4th
was
down.
down.
That wasn't even like, that wasn't like stop them and you get 3 points. Like you stop them and they get 0 points.
Yeah, you get the ball to 35.
Right. And stopping a team like that who start fast early,
right? And
then you cut that off right from the beginning. That's a big deal, right? I mean, football is a momentum game, anyways.
So here's the way I look at it. Like, Kyle Shanahan is a creature of habit, and he's almost robotic in how he does things. So when he challenges a play, it's because he got a cue from, I think his name is Brian Hampton in the booth.
The guy up in
Brian
the booth,
Hampton is in charge of watching the replay, and if Brian Hampton sees conclusive video evidence, that he signals to Kyle and Kyle throws the flag. So that didn't happen, right? They didn't get the definitive look in the booth. Kyle was waiting for Brian and they just froze. And I guess he could say, look, I'm not going to waste a time out there unless I know for sure. But to me, like, that's a failure because, like, one, it's the first half. You don't need to protect your first half timeouts. So in that sense, like, just challenging without really knowing what happened is a low-risk, high-reward play because A, it's the first half, and B, it's 4th down. So if it's reversed, you get the ball at midfield, and, I mean, you also take them out of the 6-yard line. I mean, just the down and the field position, like, sort of behooved Kyle Shanahan to take a chance. Also, Talanoa Hufanga was signaling to Kyle Shanahan that Smith didn't catch it. Smith was signaling that he didn't catch it. And the Eagles were hurrying to the line of scrimmage. I mean, there were so many things that Kyle Shanahan could have reacted to in the moment.
Yeah. There's some. I think the biggest cue is them hurrying up. I mean, players are always going to think, especially DBs are always going to say, "Oh, they didn't catch it. They're always going to say that.
Right.
So, but the other team, the opposite, hurrying up to the line of scrimmage, that's huge. That was a huge giveaway, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, if this was the only major mistake that happened in this game, I don't think that necessarily would have been a big deal, but not as big a deal as maybe as it is. But I think there are 3 major mistakes, 3 major decisions that were made, and he didn't do well on all of them. And there was this one. The other one is an overall thing. It's not respecting the pass rush. But then the other one is I don't think it's on the docket, but was, with your 4th string quarterback kind of going for it before the end of the half. Like, hey, let's go all in, and instead of going.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That was a big mistake.
So yeah, why didn't this? To me, like, we're going to talk about the Brock Purdy injury next, but this one was huge. If they challenge this, well, first of all, I mean, it was the wrong call, but if they challenge this and it's reversed, the Niners get all the momentum. The Eagles don't score on their first drive. The Niners get the ball. It's a whole different game, theoretically. This was huge. So this kind of started things on a bad foot. Now, Go ahead.
Yeah, it definitely changed the momentum in the game. It also gave the Eagles defense some momentum, right? So they can take some more chances, right? Because they have 7 points at their back. So to get off the game, they've got 7 points at their back. They can start not respecting the 49ers run game. They can do those things.
All right. Next thing that was an interesting decision. Well, not a decision. It's a discussion. Are the Niners at fault for Brock Purdy's injury? They say no. They say essentially Brock's at fault, or it's a coincidence. What do you think?
I think the 49ers did not respect the Eagles pass rush. I mean, they clearly they were going to do, the 49ers seemed to take the fall. We're going to do what we're going to do, and we're going to block things up how we block it, and that's that. And
yeah.
What did they? The Eagles every single. They had, but then they have 5 starters and double-digit sacks. It's definitely 4.
Yeah.
And
definitely 4.
Right, they led the NFL in sacks by 15.
Yep.
That's
but remember last week though? I don't know how the Niners felt, but didn't you hear a lot of Niner fans being like, "Man, Eagles aren't that good." Like a lot of those sacks came in 3 games. Like they haven't played anyone. I had people on my show being like, "Hey, the Eagles are frauds." And I feel like the Niners kind of felt that way too. Eric Branch kept asking players on the team, is this Eagles team like the one team that can actually match your physicality? And a lot of guys are like, we'll see. George Kittle was straight up like, they have great defense on paper, but they essentially haven't faced anyone like us yet, so we'll see. It's like, whoa. Well, I guess you found out.
Yeah, and
they had a lot more respect for Dallas than they had for Philly's defense, I thought.
Yeah, everything Philly did to the Niners, they did it to everybody else. So
right.
Why would I know this whole argument? Why would the 49ers change their blocking? Well, they haven't played Philadelphia at all this year.
And clearly they didn't scout them well. They thought Hassan Reddick was just another guy.
This pass rush, it's not the same as Dallas's pass rush. It's not the same as it's not.
It's not. It's not. And what's wild about this play here is so Hassan Reddick beats Croft. Fletcher Cox beats McGlinchey. I mean, he got 2 guys bearing down on him.
And that's where I contend people say, Purdy should have stepped up. If you look at it, I think if he steps up, he takes a hit from Cox.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Cox is turning that edge.
Oh yeah.
So, and you say, he's holding they hold the ball for 3.8 seconds. The play is designed for him to hold the ball longer than possible.
It's a long developing play. It's a 7-step drop. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where you have to come in knowing who your opponent is and be like,
why are you calling a slow developing line? Why are you calling it? Who do you think you're playing? Yeah.
Right. I would have
disrespectful.
And to me also, I would have been less concerned with the interior guys than the outside guys because of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy isn't showing the ability to maneuver in the pocket, and at least if it's in the inside, it's an inside guy. He'll be able to see him. He wasn't able to see Reddick, so
he's looking left.
Yeah, and if you're going to design
plays to look left, yeah,
right, and then
that's the blind side.
And then on top of that, you're doubling team. They're the worst pass rusher out of all.
Real quick. So you DM me during the week, and you're like, check this out. They're double teaming Joseph. Then I tweeted it. A bunch of people said, Grant, you're an idiot. Then Brian Baldinger makes the same observation. A whole video about it today. You pointed it out first. Baldinger agrees with you. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, it looks just like our run play. Yeah, but look at the matchups, man. Look at the matchups. You double-teamed a guy who wasn't rushing the quarterback. And he was so not rushing the quarterback that he was the guy who covered the fumble.
Yeah. So I understand the concept of you want to make that play look like a run play. You want to, but there's times where you have to say fuck that and worry about the player. I'm a big opponent. The matchup, the opposing player. Remember I'm a big believer of football players make
players win games, not scheme. Players wins games,
Yes,
not scheme.
correct.
Matchups win playoff games, not scheme.
Got to handle Hassan Reddick. He's got to get to.
You can't put your team in a position where the season rests in Tyler Croft's hands. You can't let that happen.
And then on top of that, like when I was coming up in the coaching ranks, an older coach was telling me like when we like, hey coach, they get paid too. You know, meaning the opposing it. You don't think the Niners, the Eagles defense are like, man, you think the Eagles are never like, man, we can't have Reddick matched up on Croft. Like, no, we can't have a matchup. Like, you don't think they looked at that matchup and they're like,
did you hear what Reddick said? They asked, like, what'd you think when you saw Tyler Croft blocking you? And he said, bad things. Bad things is what he said.
Yeah, that was a matchup that the Eagles looked at and like, we'll take it. Like,
yeah, so, I mean, to me, putting Croft on Reddick is like exposing your king immediately in a chess game and losing on the fourth play. It's like, what was that, dude? Like, what opening move was that? I've never heard of that one. You lost in 4 moves. That's essentially what you did.
Yeah. And I know, you know, and I know, like the likelihood of your quarterback getting hurt is very low. But like coming into this game, you knew what you had behind Purdy. Like you're literally down to your third quarterback this year.
Right.
You know what was behind him.
Right.
You knew what this pass rush row you should have coming into the game because it's been on film all year. So you should have came into this game with an objective of minimizing that pass rush. And like
we've seen them do that with the Rams and Aaron Donald. They've gone against game wreckers. They didn't let Micah Parsons wreck the game. They never let Aaron Donald wreck the game. They let Hassan Reddick wreck the game because they didn't think he was that good. I don't know. He is that good. He has 19 and a half sacks. Did you know that? 19 and a half.
And Grant, on top of that, he also forces fumbles. Like that's the fact that he forced the fumble. That's not a surprise either because you've been doing that as a whole career too.
You know, it's funny. The Niners have been playing a lot of teams they knew, teams they had familiarity with. I guess they didn't know Philly. They know now, though. They know now. I think they keep lamenting the fact that they didn't really have a chance. They didn't give themselves a chance to compete. Next year, maybe they will. Gustavo says, Isa, should I save her? I want to be saved. You don't know what that is because you're from New Jersey. You don't know that song. I'm testing you right now. You don't know. Only people from the...
Wait. Is that the Ty Dolla song?
No, it's E40. It's his original
E40,
big hit.
Yeah.
Captain Sava. Yeah. Captain Sava. It's all right.
Yeah.
See, because you're from New Jersey people.
I knew where you're going, though.
From the East Coast think E40 is weird, don't they?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people from the West Coast are like, we don't turn that Jay-Z off, please. Ramilia Sports Report says Kyle Shanahan is the most incompetent, unluckiest head coach in NFL history. The regular season empire got punched in the regular season empire in back-to-back NFC. Hold on. Okay, so he's really enjoying this. I know you had a bad year, but I have a question for you, man. What is next for the Rams? Where do they go from here? I don't think anyone is really thinking about them right now. What's up with y'all? Not that, because I'm not a Niner fan, but I do. I delight in everyone's misfortunes in the NFL. Everyone's. I want every team to lose every game. Because I'm a hater.
His comment was funny. I just don't know. Like, I don't have enough time to follow Niners stuff. How do you find the time to go follow other teams? Like, I don't. But
yeah, that's a tough one.
Appreciate the donation to Grant.
Yeah. Shireen Darwish, thank you very much for the donation. Shreddy Murphy, missed me with that unlucky. Niners are the luckiest team in the NFL after last pick in the draft as a baller and win 7 straight games. Kyle been the problem. Oh, that's an interesting point. Okay, before we get to that lucky conversation, I got one more. So they mess up the challenge. They give away 7 points. They get Brock Purdy hurt. That puts them really in a hole. But, I mean, it's a close game. They're in it. And then Josh Johnston gets hurt too. Then Kyle Shanahan has a decision to make. Do I go Wildcat? Which I tweeted it. I feel like a lot of people at the time were thinking this at least gives you a chance to compete. You got Debo, you got Christian McCaffrey. It just might work. He didn't do it. Instead, he brought back in the quarterback with the torn UCL and told him to hand off, which to me is kind of the same thing as just taking a knee. Why do you think Kyle Shanahan didn't go with the Wildcat?
To me, I don't think he probably didn't have it installed,
I totally
and
agree, right?
didn't want to draw
They
things
probably
up.
spent this much time installing the Wildcat, right? This much. They probably say it's in the playbook, but did they actually spend a day in camp working on Wild? No, and plus McCaffrey's only been on the team half a year, so they don't have it. Wasn't an option. Don't you think? I bet it wasn't an option. It's too bad. You'd think a guy who's been coaching the team 6 years with a lot of vets could go, could dig deep in the playbook, but I just don't think. It's too bad too, because it might have worked. It might have freaking worked. I mean, the other team didn't prepare for it. If you had to imagine, what is the best potential Wildcat combo in the league in the backfield? Debo and McCaffrey, no? I mean, they'd be up there. Yeah. Why not try it one time? One time. One freaking play. Give it a shot. Because is handing off with Purdy any different than taking a knee? I mean, you might get some yards. Someone might get hurt. I don't know.
He could have got hurt more, actually. I mean, what if...
Could have got hurt more. Thank goodness McCaffrey didn't get hurt in that game. He played great. But anyway, I would have liked the Wildcat. Do you think they didn't have one freaking Wildcat play? Hey, the last few games of the season, they had teams doing it to him. Seems like other teams at least practice it a little bit. Why not?
I mean, at that point, they could have just done whatever. Just have fun. Go do the whole ring around the rosy, Andy Reid thing. Just
I don't know, man. If you're just gonna hand off, just take a knee and say, "I quit. We're done. We don't want to be here. The game's over. We don't want our guys to get hurt." Because that was essentially their attitude, right? Hey, unlucky. Brock's hurt. The game's over. We can't compete. Then don't compete, man. Just take a knee. Because he said, "I'm really proud of the way the guys went out on their sword." Nah, man. Just either really compete or really quit. Don't do this half-stepping baloney. You know what I mean? Make it look good, but you're really not trying. I don't know. I didn't like it. Thought that would have been cool. And it's why didn't they install Wildcat? Because that's not Kyle's freaking system, man. That would be okay, let's install something for an emergency. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do it. So anyway, too bad. So now let's talk about the Niners' luck. Are the 49ers as unlucky as they say they are? Because that's their story. They're sticking to it. They should have won the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, but Nick Bosa got held straight up. And then the next year they should have won, but Nick Bosa got hurt, and they had the most injuries in the league. Then in 2021 they should have won the Super Bowl, but Jaquiski Tart dropped a gimme interception, and now he's off the team. And then this year they should have won too, but Brock Purdy got hurt in the most flukiest of ways. Is that just the most unluckiest of unlucky stretches that you can imagine?
I do believe in luck, but when you continuously have luck like that, it means you're probably not putting yourself in the best position.
Yeah, you got to create your own luck at a certain point, right?
To generate luck. And I think there's to just look at the quarterback injuries and just pass some off as bad luck is crazy, right? You have to at least examine why they are happening.
If you want it to change,
right? If your house was lighting on fire, you wouldn't just it's bad luck.
Yeah. It'll go out. It'll go out eventually. It'll go out.
Yeah. We're I had the gas guy or electric guy come and check it. He said everything is fine and everything.
Yeah. I've been living here for 3 years. There's never been a fire. Why would I do anything different because there was one fire? Why would I even examine how the fire started when there's never been a fire before?
Right.
History indicates there'll never be a fire again. And even if there is a fire, it's probably going to be for a different reason. So how could I even draw conclusions?
And then it happens 6 times, but then you're still it's random, completely random.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's true.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I can sit here and I have the reason why it's happening, but I'm not the 49ers. And
here's why the Niners are unlucky. It's Kyle's attitude, but their whole attitude is they're the best. He's the best. They're the best. He said it. They're the best team in 2019. They just happened not to win. And so there's nothing to learn. There's nowhere to grow. They're already the best. Every time they lose, they have an excuse. It wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault. It was a coincidence. So what we need to do is not overreact to one game. Don't overreact. Take a step back Acknowledge that we're the best team in the league and just run it back. And eventually our luck will turn. And you know what? That's a horseshit way of thinking. And it's what I really don't like about the culture of this team. Like, you guys aren't champions. You shouldn't strut around like you are. And if you keep acting like this, you're never gonna win it. And your legacy will go down as the team that freaking squandered a golden opportunity.
Yeah, I would say maybe the culture of the organization, right? Because now that I think about it, they celebrated the Harbaugh NFC Championship, right?
Yes.
Then they had Harbaugh and the whole team there. Like, that was really odd when they did that. Like, who the hell celebrates conference championships? Like,
I don't understand. But now what's crazy is, so they got rid of Harbaugh because he couldn't get the team over the hump. And frankly, it was the right call. He hasn't gotten Michigan over the hump. Like, he's not a champion, never will be a champion. Is that not Kyle? Is Kyle not like the younger, hipper, like Generation X version of freaking Jim Harbaugh? You know, a little bit cooler.
Maybe. The thing
never his fault. Never his fault. Never gonna really like look deep down inside and think, why am I not a champion? Why do I perform my worst in the biggest games of the season? Oh, it's not my fault. Okay, all right.
He definitely has an issue with taking blame for things. Like I don't recall
an issue. An issue? When has he done it? When has he ever done it? I don't know.
He has.
He has an inability to do it. And he sets the tone for the whole team. Again, like the Niners, honestly, they're like the Memphis Grizzlies of the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, who do you guys think you are? You walk around like you're the best team in the league, but you haven't proven it yet. You haven't. So miss me with all that, you know, puffing your chest out, strutting around, like win the championship first and then act like that. Because honestly, until you do, you're kind of a joke. I mean, not locally, but I laugh at the Memphis Grizzlies every time they talk shit and lose to the Warriors. Like, who do you think you are? You haven't gotten over that hump yet. And then, I mean, I'm not laughing at the Niners because I respect them and a lot of people on this team. But after the way some of them talked and what happened in this game, it's like, wow, whoa, and then they said it was unlucky. It was a coincidence. Like, guys, how many years of unluck and coming up just a little short is it going to take before you guys really are honest with yourselves? I mean, it's 4 years of being deluded, essentially. I can't take it. Originally, it was the Houston Rockets with James Harden. That team. It's like, whoa, guys, who do you think you are? And now it's the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, that's who I would compare him to. Yeah.
The Grizz.
The Grizz. Bryant Culp says Kyle quit. Jimmy G would have been his Super Bowl option. Do you think the reason that Josh Johnston was the option was because Kyle was really hoping that Jimmy would come back, and then at the last minute Jimmy was like, I can't? Or do you think Kyle wanted to win with? Do you think Kyle really thought he could win with Josh Johnston?
I don't know that he thought that he could win. I thought he probably thought that it was his best option because he probably likes that Johnson has some experience in the system and why he wouldn't want to bring in a guy like, you know, Cam Newton or something like that.
I was so looking forward to see Juice play quarterback. Will Phase 1 says, here's $2. Hero Winchester says, I don't blame Kyle for not challenging or putting Croft in. I blame Kyle for signing Josh Johnson and for only having two quarterbacks up on game day. These are, I mean, the NFC Championship game was a debacle. And there were ways to avoid the debacle, and Kyle did none of those things. He like steered into the debacle. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what? Let's just end this right now. Over. Yeah.
Like I do think he's onto something. I think that the NFL has to correct an issue with the whole.
There used to be a rule you could have an emergency third quarterback. They changed the rule, so they should rechange it.
Right. There should be. You should be able to. They should be essentially at a roster spot. That spot should be the quarterback. I have a feeling what they're going to do is they're just going to make you have one of your 53 guys be the third quarterback because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay the other guy.
Yeah,
but that's not what they should do.
Sheeran Darwish says, still confused why no timeout to review. Single biggest mistake. Please send a happy B-Day shout out to Isaac. Happy birthday, Isaac. Shout out to Isaac. Hey, no, I gotta. So this is a great point. So Kyle said I didn't challenge the play. I didn't get a good look on it. I mean, from the review we had, it looked like a catch. Why not? Why not just call a timeout, knowing that it's the first half? You got 3 of them. It's the first half. I mean, you're not wasting anything. You don't need to save them, and you could get a look if you decide to challenge it and you win. You get it back anyway, right? You get the timeout back anyway. So
win, yeah.
Just calling the timeout there is probably a no-brainer. To Sheeran's point. Shireen's point. Shireen. Sorry, Shireen. Idiot that I am.
I think that you can't get overly consumed with the end of, like, I think we all get consumed with fourth quarter and the end of games when, like, the middle and the beginning are just as important as the end. Like, if you get a touchdown in the first quarter, it's the same amount of points as you get in the fourth, right? So
that is true. And the Niners lost because the Eagles start fast and the Niners don't. They haven't really started fast the last month, and we kept talking about it like, hey, when you face Philly, this might be you might need to play 60 minutes of football, and they weren't ready for it. They played 0 minutes of football. Man, that game was whack. But you know what was cool? The Philly cheesesteaks. I liked the Philly cheesesteaks that I got in Philly. The game, D'Alessandro's, loved it.
Why didn't you go to Pat's or Gino's?
Because McGlinchey said that D'Alessandro's the spot, and McGlinchey's my guy.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah, McGlinchey's from there. I think his high school is like literally a mile away from D'Alessandro's. It's a little bit further out. I think Pat's and Gino's are kind of downtown. I went out. It was hella good, dog. Hella good. Hella good.
If that's McGlinchey's spot, I'm surprised they let you in.
McGlinchey, hey, to McGlinchey's credit, he's like painfully nice. Painfully nice. He's so nice. I'm just saying. I had a minute with him alone, one-on-one. I just walked up to him, asked him some questions, and he just stood there and answered. He's the ultimate pro. He's super nice.
That's what I was going to say. What you were going to say, he's a professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Niner Nation for Life says, what is y'all opinion on why a guy like Belichick, for example, seems to learn from past mistakes, but Kyle can't? Does Bill not have yes men? I don't know. I don't know Bill Belichick. I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I don't know Bill either, but I'm sure he has yes men, like, but I mean, Bill's resume speaks for himself. A good portion of his resume is attributed to Tom Brady, but I think you can.
Here's the question: what is your goal as a coach? Is your goal to win the Super Bowl? I question that with Kyle, because if the goal is to win the Super Bowl and you fall short, your natural instinct should be, okay, let's do a top-down analysis of everything we did, find some things that contributed to us not getting over the hump. Let's do something different, because this is not the goal. But with Kyle, I feel like his goal is kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Like, are you trying to win the Super Bowl? Are you trying to win the MVP? Like, Kyle just wants to be the coach of the year. He wants to be the coach that everyone says is the greatest. So everything is self-serving. Everything's about his ego, is how I feel. Sorry.
Fair point.
So when he loses at the end of the year, it's like his instinct isn't, let's do a top-down analysis. It's let's deflect. Let's be defensive. Let's say this isn't my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Oh, you thought? Oh, no. And that's what he does, right? He's just sitting there and just verbally sparring with you. Oh, you thought? Oh, but I know more about football than you. Oh, you can't get me there. Great. That's a fun game that you're playing, Kyle.
And that's essentially what people that defend him do. It's like, you think you know more football than Kyle Shanahan?
Exactly. What is your goal, Kyle? Do you want to win the Super Bowl, or do you want to be the best coach in the league who has excuses when you don't win it? Fish and Chip says the protecting quarterback rule is putting them at more risk. Why block all when if a rusher touches the quarterback, it's a 15-yard penalty? More quarterbacks down this year. Fact. I think he's saying that offenses are purposely not blocking pass rushers because they're trying to get the 15-yard penalty. I think that's what he's saying. And that's why quarterback injuries are up, because the offenses are trying to induce quarterback hits.
I don't know. You do not want your quarterback hit, because the whole reason the whole reason those penalties are in there to prevent your quarterback from being hit, because so
there's never a freaking NFC Championship game like that ever again. Right. Ever. Do you understand how pissed the NFL probably was about that? I bet you ratings plummeted when when Purdy went down.
Right. In the past, when there was less of these rules, the defenses, we would say, hey, we'll trade penalties for hits on your quarterback because defenses value hits on your quarterback. And that's why I do think there might be something to it where the Eagles got up early, where now you can be more aggressive because we've got 7 points at our back. Okay, well, if we'll take hits on your quarterback for a 15-yard or whatever.
And why did the NFL change the rule? Like, why are there so many rules to protect quarterbacks? Because they don't want games like that ever, especially in the NFC Championship game. And again, the Niners are like, well, maybe if we had a third quarterback. You need 3 quarterbacks. Can't you protect one? Can't you protect one? Like, yeah, there should be a third quarterback, but can you stop blaming everyone but yourself, please? Oh, the NFL.
We need 8 quarterbacks.
We need 8 quarterbacks. Like, okay, dog. Okay. Barry Baller 18 says the Reddick sack on Purdy was bad, but what about Josh Johnson's second snap? Kyle tried to pull Kittle across formation to pick up Reddick a fourth. Yes, man. And again, this is Kyle being like, oh, okay, so they're going to criticize me for this after the game. Let me do it again so I can really double down on me saying like, there's nothing wrong with me doing it. I do this.
Here's the whole thing, right? All that stuff is designed because you want Reddick to respect the run game,
to like slow down, hesitate.
He from the snap of the game, he wasn't respecting the run game, and when you watch every other game before that, he doesn't respect the run game. So why did you think he was going to respect the run game?
He was blowing up field on run plays. Like, he plays it like a wide 9 DN. You know what I'm saying? He's not reading a damn thing. Go back and watch the 6 previous plays before Purdy gets hurt. Run and pass. Go watch Reddick. Like, he wasn't reacting to anything. So, yeah, Kyle, but
the pass.
Yeah.
That's what he's
Yeah. And again, like, that stuff was in the opening script. So whatever Kyle saw on film when he was watching the Eagles defense, he was like, oh, this Reddick guy?
Yeah. There was a comment I commented on one of the I think it was a Baldy breakdown, and somebody said, you know, the Kyle expected Reddick to respect the orbit motion by Debo. I'm like, why? What? In what piece of film did you see all year where Reddick was going to look at any kind of motion? Like, yeah, let me go get that. Like, he's going after the quarterback in every game.
Yeah, I don't know what Kyle thought Reddick was going to do on that, but it was kind of cute that Kyle thought that he would. I like, dude, you must not know Hassan Reddick's game. I guess you were unfamiliar. Zachary Kellaway says, hate the idea. This is the new Kyle Shanahan defense line. I love this. I hate the idea of judging a team on whether they win a Super Bowl each year. Each year? How about 1 year? Terrible reactionary way to run a franchise like OCD Bill Walsh. All of a sudden, it's not about finishing the job. It's not about winning the Super Bowl. That's like judging a baseball player by RBIs and home runs. It's really about EPA in the regular season. No. It's really about who had the longest win streak that year. It's really about the friends you made along the way. That's what it is. The feelings that you felt along the way. Yes, I agree. If Kyle Shanahan comes close and doesn't get over the hump, I will enjoy the experience. It will be fun.
I think like you and I are different opinion on whether or not they should fire Kyle Shanahan. I still think he's one of the better coaches in the league, and you know he's consistently in NFC Championship games. I don't think they should be fired. However, I don't think he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Thus, I don't think he's above reproach. Like right. There are definitely things.
He's not going to get fired. I would trade him right now because I think his value's high, and I don't think he's going to win the Super Bowl. So I feel like what are we wasting our time with? But if he misses the playoffs next year, I think they will fire him. I'm going to say that. So in that sense, I don't know if he's on the hot seat, but he has to perform. The team is good. There's no excuses. You can't play the injury excuse. You got to make the playoffs. There's 7 entrants. The NFC's not that great.
I think that's fair. I remember you were talking with your father. You were talking about previously coaches that have been fired, Andy Reid, but I think
they missed the playoffs.
They had consecutive years of losing seasons. I think that's when you fire those guys. And when you brought up a guy like George Seifert who got fired, George Seifert got fired after a winning season, and then what happened after that? The Niners, they hired Mariucci, and then Mariucci lost to Green Bay too.
He lost to no, he beat Green Bay. Remember? That was the Owens. He got it. He beat Green Bay, and then he lost, and then Garrison Hurst broke his ankle, and they lost to Atlanta in the NFC Championship game.
But didn't Mariucci lose to Green Bay a year in the previous year?
I'm sure he lost him eventually, but I think his first year he beat Green Bay. I could be wrong about that. That was 97. He probably lost him in 98. Maybe I'm wrong, man. I was young.
I think he lost.
Maybe he's flipped.
He lost early, and then they beat him, and then they lost.
Okay,
and they lost to Atlanta. Or whatever. But
yeah,
I think he fired. Kyle could be fired if he has consecutive losing seasons. But like if he keeps getting to NFC Championship games,
Doug Peterson got fired 3 years after winning a Super Bowl, but I think they felt he lost the locker room. And what I'm looking at right now is Trent Williams. What's Trent Williams going to do? If he retires, that to me indicates maybe the locker room starting to lose confidence that they're going to win a Super Bowl. Because they're here. Like, why is Trent here? To win a Super Bowl with Kyle? Because he believes in Cal. He believes in Cal. But if he retires on Cal, then that's the best player on the team being like, you know what? I'm wasting my time. I'm going to go retire. So I'm curious to see. Cal said he expects Trent to be back. Yeah, I bet you do. So let's see what Trent says. That's a big one. If you remove Kyle's first 2 years, he had to rid the roster of crybaby kneelers. Ooh. Well, Zachary, that says a lot about you. He took the team to an NFC Championship game 75% of the time. Yeah, you know who he's a lot like? When you take away those first 2 years, his resume is almost identical to Harbaugh's. Identical. Just saying. G.I. Jones says in the draft, isn't it kind of funny that the Niners fired Harbaugh and essentially got another one? At least for now. Like that's their fate. G.I. Jones says in the draft, center, right guard, right tackle instead of Lance equals Super Bowl 2 times. With Jimmy? Super Bowl 2 times?
I think we'll talk about them probably in a later show, but I think the thing you got to remember about the Niners drafts is the Niners don't draft for next year. They draft for the following year. So like the 49ers aren't drafting for 2023 this year. They're going to be drafting for 2024. So they're the guys you expect to make an impact are already on the team.
Dustin the Gale says with $95 million in cap space to play with, the first overall pick in the draft and an upcoming quarterback showing promise, could the Bears be a threat to the Niners next year? That's an interesting question. I wouldn't rule it out. I feel like they're a few wide receivers away from being competitive. They were competitive this year from like winning games. Winning is what you want to do in the NFL most of the time, but not the whole Super Bowl. You just want to win. You just want to win 12 in a row and then come close and be like, "Hey, wasn't that fun?" That's what I say. But anyway, the Bears. What do you think?
I will say that the good thing about having a need for wide receivers is these drafts always have a ton of them. So
yep. I mean, and there's usually a guy who on a team they don't want to pay him, like AJ Brown last year. So they could trade. Keep speaking facts. Screw Kyle's media errand boys. His boxing fan ×4, not just ×3 or 2. Appreciate you. Dustin the Gale says, plus the Bears already beat the Niners.
They did.
I like Justin Fields. I feel like he could do. I feel like if you put him on the Eagles, they wouldn't miss a beat. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Kyle, Trey, let's do something different. B-Gap says Twisted Clown. You are Twisted Clown. Oh, Zachary Kellaway. Kyle's just trying to do the best job he can. Every year the team gets better. Hopefully Jed runs the team like the Rooney Steelers do and life him. Life him. Did the team get better this year? They lost in the NFC Championship. It seems like they had the same season as the year before.
I wouldn't life him, but I do think the better teams do give their coaches a chance. Like remember the Steelers sat on Bill Cowher when people were calling for his head, and he eventually got them a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but the Steelers always have like leaders of men as their head coaches. Like I don't know if the Steelers would ever have a Kyle Shanahan as their coach. I mean, they always have defensive guys that are stern leaders. I don't think they would have a glorified OC who goes by Cal and wants to be called on a first name basis with his player. I don't see it. And maybe that's their loss.
And throw balls at Pete Evans.
That's just Cal being Cal. Gold-blooded says Cal needs to take accountability for who his starters are. Are we not going to ask why Eric can't tackle when he has the quarterback dead to rights for a safety? Eric said he, wished he could do it over again. Cal said, I'm sorry for Josh, Brock, Jimmy G getting hurt, but not for Trey by saying he is a dual threat quarterback. Thoughts? He didn't really say sorry for any of them. I mean, he was.
No. The funny thing with the trade, you feel slightly different than I do. Shit. You got
What is that?
so I don't know. Somebody
All right.
decided to do some work. All right.
Okay.
I think that you guys feel a little different, or you feel a little different than I do about this. But I think that I think the funny thing with the whole quarterback shit is that the fluke actually might be Trey, and like the things to question are all the other guys that like are just getting hurt left and right from throwing the ball
In the pocket. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Like, wait a second. They're supposed to be protected there. That's a good point. I mean,
like,
that's true.
I think there's an overall quarterback protection issue. Like
Yes.
you thought in the beginning of the season it was just it was Trey Lance. It was Trey Lance. No, there's an overall.
No, the Trey Lance is more under like the running back protection issue, considering the way they use him. I'm just saying. AK-49er says, Kyle said, I'm sorry. No, we got you. Amaric Master says, trade Armstead, 0 sacks, 8 tackles, bad contract. Yeah, that sounds like someone teams are trying to trade for. Although it's funny, on Twitter, everyone tells you how great Eric Armstead is, but try to trade him. See how that goes. Good luck.
I think our Eric Armstead is better than maybe people perceive. I don't know that he's probably
good.
overpaid. But he's probably overpaid, but who's not overpaid in the NFL? Like
me. I feel like Christian McCaffrey lives up to his money. Kittle lived up to his money this year. I feel like we'll talk about Armstead in a minute. William Bonnet says, do you think Purdy's injury to his elbow will mentally affect him as much as physically being scared to get clipped again and start rushing throws, messing with his timing because that was his strength? I mean, I think you see it all the time with quarterbacks who are affected by past injuries and don't necessarily play. Look at Carson Wentz, look at Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr. It happens all the freaking time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hope not. Bryant Culp says, Kyle, the new Andy Reid, Eagles 5 NFC Championship games, 1 Super Bowl loss. Kyle, 3 NFC Championship games, 1 Super Bowl loss, not counting Atlanta. And again, what's interesting about Andy Reid is he never got over the hump in Philly, ever. And so they fired him.
What he did do
or they let him go. They let him go.
What Andy Reid did do and Kyle has yet to do is he found the quarterback.
Yeah, he did, and kept him healthy. It wasn't like, was Donovan McNabb a Hall of Fame quarterback? No. He was good.
He was a Pro Bowl quarterback, though.
Pro Bowl quarterback. A very good quarterback.
The Niners haven't had a Pro Bowl quarterback.
No, it's true. Fish and chips. I mean, he wasn't Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe he was. The way I remember Donovan McNabb was a little overweight. Just a little overweight all the time. Like, he seemed like he kind of, I don't know. Am I wrong? Is that harsh? Sorry. Kyle was unprepared. We knew Eagles took bad O-lines apart. Reddick blitzed 77% in season. Kyle devalued his impact and went PA early, so ears back. Yeah, it just seemed like, don't you want to run the ball and like throw quick passes to? The first pass was that quick pass to Kittle. Like, that worked. Why do you want to take deep drops? Why?
We gotta get Linville Joseph double teamed. Like, we gotta get him blocked.
All right, moving on. Is the 49ers defensive coordinator search a cause for concern? They were sort of flirting with Vic Fangio, but it seemed like since they wanted to keep Chris Kasarik and this wide 9 system, that Fangio decided to go to Miami where he would have complete creative control. And so now the Niners are now fighting to hold on to Kasarik because Houston is trying to bring him over there with DeMeco Ryans. I don't know. It seems like the Niners might want Steve Wilkes, but now they got to figure out how to keep Kasarik, and maybe that involves promoting him to a position he doesn't really want in defensive coordinator. What do you think is happening here, Coach?
I don't think that like, this is one of the things that would probably be cause for concern is probably like on the lower end, just because they've hit big on 2 defensive coordinators, right? So I think I would give them a lot of rope here, like with what they decided to do, because this is one thing that they seem to get right. And maybe promoting Chris Kasarik is not the best idea. Maybe, like, I don't know him internally, and I don't know of him. Just because someone is a great position coach doesn't mean they're going to be a great coordinator.
Real quick, I asked him in OTAs, like, hey, man, you're like the best D-line coach, I mean, do you have aspirations to be a D coordinator? He's like, honestly, when I was younger, I did, but they told me you got to watch coverages, and I tried, but I kept watching the D-line, and all I want to watch. So it's like, if that's how he feels, you really want to make that guy your D coordinator? He pretty much says he does it. He'd be doing it reluctantly.
You know what might have happened is his wife might have seen that video and been like, "What?
Shut up! They will triple your salary. Shut up." So maybe he's looking at the offer. He's like, "All right, man. I mean, can't you keep him? What they should do is just make him the assistant head coach. Make him the assistant head coach. Give him a raise, but don't make him the DC. He doesn't want to be the DC unless he does want to be the DC. Maybe he changed his mind. I don't know.
You can make him assistant head coach, passing game coordinator. Let him design the rushes, the blitzes, and all that stuff. You can do that stuff with but I don't know internally also what is his desire? Like, does he really want to be a coordinator? Does he just want more money, or what does he want? But like, if money is the issue,
we want some of that money, guy. I want more money, guy. D'Amico, I gotta say real quick, man, he's coming for the Niners coaches. Like, Robert Saleh never tried to go for Chris Kacerek. It didn't seem like it. It was almost like, I'll take Mike LaFleur. I'll take the rejects. D'Amico's like, I'm coming for Kacerek, Kyle. Cal, what you gonna do about it, Cal? That's very bold of D'Amico. Kyle's over here. If they lose Kacerek, I'm just saying, if they lose Kacerek, dude, this season upcoming, if Brock isn't ready, if they lose Kacerek, hey man, Kyle better make the playoffs. I'm sure he will, but he better. Trent Williams retires.
The interesting thing, like, if you brought in a veteran guy like Steve Wilks, and you do use other guys on the staff, one of the benefits of a veteran guy like Wilks is he's gonna have contacts, so he's gonna be able to pull in other guys, good guys on the staff that he can bring in. So that's one of the benefits of bringing veteran guys at Steve Wilks. I do think it's interesting that as I recall in their searches in the past, they didn't really look at too many veteran guys. I think they looked at Fangio the first time around, right? I mean, the first when he was initially looking for a DC, and then they end up settling on Robert Saleh. Yeah. But like, do you think it might be the Niners are kind of tired of the revolving door, and they're like, all right, well, a guy like Fangio and Wilks probably less likely to get a head coaching job because they've done it before, and teams are probably less likely to give these guys another shot.
Yeah, that's a good question. But what I think is interesting, the Niners seem like they wanted Fangio, but ultimately they were trying to get Fangio to work with Kacerek. And that's a tough one because Kacerek runs a 4-3 wide 9 and Fangio runs a 3-4, like a 3-4 under, and that's tough. I think Fangio's got to the point in his career where he can ask to do whatever the hell he wants to do. And so if they missed out on Fangio because they didn't want to make those concessions, but then lose Kacerek to Houston, that would be tough. That would be tough. It's like, hey, can we actually, Vic, we were kidding. Come back, do whatever the hell you want. Kacerek's gone. They got to work it out with Kacerek. They cannot lose Chris Kacerek after losing Fangio to keep Kacerek. Cannot lose Chris Kacerek. Way too important. Cal, figure that out. But if they have to make him DC to keep him, that's very interesting to me. How are you going to make that work? Because he doesn't even freaking want to do it. He told me. I have it on camera. He's like, I don't want to watch coverage. He said it on camera. I didn't ask him to say that. He just went for it. I was like, dog, this is on the record. Zachary Callaway says the entire NFL is trying to pilfer any coach who shook hands with Kyle Shanahan. I say, hire Steve Wilks. More free draft picks when he gets a head coaching job. That just comes across as callous when he says it.
I think the Niners are aware of that, are aware of getting the free draft picks, but I think they generally do hire their best people for the positions. And
it is commended to be commended hiring non-white coaches because so many teams don't even consider it. Aren't there franchises that have never had a non-white head coach, like the Giants? Yeah. All right, moving on.
I mean, but it's not just, let's say, it's not just coaching. It's through the entire organization. Right? They're getting draft picks because Ron Carthon just took the job as GM. Yeah. And what's also cool is like Ron. I thought another thing that was cool with Ron was he's an ex-player, an ex-NFL player, and I think that's really cool. An ex-NFL player getting
absolutely. This year, there was Talanoa Hufanga and Aaron Banks, two guys who were just pretty much relegated to the bench. More Banks than Hufanga as rookies. And then instantly inserted to the starting lineup day one of OTAs with no hesitation from the coaching staff. And they were solid. One was a solid starter. One was an all-pro. You got any potential guys who could do that this upcoming season?
Well, I think that they're looking at I think people might initially think Jackson, right? Because he was their high draft pick. He had some sacks this year.
Yeah.
However, I've got some trepidation with him because, like, if you look at his sacks, all of his sacks, I believe, they all come on TE stunts. So, like,
Ooh.
yeah, there's.
So he's coming to the inside.
He's coming from outside inside. So there's an art to that. There's definitely an art to that. But the more important thing that you should be able to do or need to be able to do as a pass rusher is just beat your man.
Win one-on-one.
Right. And I don't know that he's been able to do that consistently. And I think that's probably why he didn't play towards the end of the year, because they felt like there were other guys do a better job of that. Now,
Kerry Hyder.
Yeah. That all being
Charles
said,
Adeniju. Yeah.
my pick for the guy to really excel and start and do well is Womack.
Talk about it.
I think he showed early on he had skills. He definitely could cover deep. I think they wanted him to play inside. I think it was and Sherman, I believe, talked about it too. Usually you go with vets there inside because it's a lot harder. I think his spot might be outside. The 49ers don't like playing rookies, so they went with Lenore. I think Womack might be the guy next year that they play outside and then they move Lenore inside. Sounds crazy because Lenore played well down the stretch outside, but I think that might be his spot.
Yeah, or if they bring back Emmanuel Mosley, they could have Womack and Lenore compete in the inside. That's an interesting call, though, because Womack looked good in the preseason. Didn't he? He had interceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked good.
And he can cover downfield. It's not just the
and they benched him for no reason. There was no play where he got beat where they're like, oh, you can't have that guy on the field. Whereas there were plenty of plays like that from Diamador Lenore, who was allowed to work through them and improve.
Right, and you got to remember, just because a guy played well at the end of the year doesn't mean that they're not going to bench him because
Ambry Thomas.
Yeah.
Sorry, I beat you to it. It's true.
Yeah,
although that being said, I think it's pretty clear that Diamador Lenore, there is something he's sort of driven in a way that maybe I can't speak for Ambry Thomas, but it seems like Diamador took that and Ambry sort of let him do it in a way that, remember when Mosley took it from Witherspoon? Kind of like that.
And maybe also, I mean, Womack maybe a year or after a year in the system might be able to pick up that nickel spot too if they decide to just play him inside. But he's the guy. I think that he might.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little faster than Lenore. Lenore keeps giving up big plays on the outside, so he had those two big picks, but still, I wonder if that keeps happening. You got to move him out of there.
The other guy. Honorable mention might be Khalil Davis, who was injured this past year. He's a guy that.
That's a good call.
Yeah, he used to be. He was a linebacker, and they moved him to defensive tackle. He's quick. He's been injured this past year. Now the Niners don't necessarily have the best history with redshirt injury guys, but
yeah. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if they move Burford to right tackle. Frankly. I mean, I think they probably want McGlinchey back, but it's possible that he gets priced out like Tomlinson and they move Burford to right tackle. They could say that was the plan all along, and they could put someone like Jason Poe at guard or someone, I don't know. So there could be Nick Zakel, although he could be the center. He could be the center. Poe could be the guard. Those could be two right there.
I could see that happening. I do think that McGlinchey might be pricing himself out. I mean, right now,
he's just so good. If you're a GM from another team, Mike McGlinchey had a great year. A great year, and I think you should give him a large, multi-year deal because he deserves it. And you know what? I think the Niners were a mere stepping stone for Mike, and he deserves to go to bigger and better places. So I give him my full endorsement.
I don't think McGlinchey is as bad as maybe he seems.
Me
But
neither.
I
He gets a
I
bad
don't
rap, and I won't stand for it.
but I don't think that you should overpay. Like, I think the market's going to be a high demand for him. And I
Another
think
team
it's a
should, but
good
this team shouldn't.
right.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to upgrade.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. Is Burford an upgrade over McGlinchey at right tackle? Maybe. Maybe
I
he
don't know
is. I mean, we'll see.
here, and this is the problem with right tackle. The issue at right tackle is that most of the best tackles in the league are first or second round picks, and that goes for left side or right side. And the
Right.
Niners don't have that. So
Right. So what are you
what?
going to do? God forbid Trent Williams retires. God forbid Trent Williams retires.
Yeah, that's the one.
If he
That's the,
retires, they could miss the
if he
playoffs.
if he retires, if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm getting the surgery. I'm like
Surgery.
I'm taking my
I'm
time.
getting the surgery. Oh man. Yeah, there would be a domino effect. Chris Kasarik, I'm going to Houston. Emmerich says backup quarterback 1 year deal. Darnold, Mayfield, Brissett.
So who's your guy? Who's your guy? Who's the next bench player that you think's going to step up next year?
Oh snap. I mean,
Tyler
I mentioned
Kroft?
Poe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Poe. I forgot.
Who's going to be the linebacker who replaces Aziz? Orrin Burks.
Yeah, it's
They're going to draft a guy. I don't know.
You know what?
Kalia Day could
Grant,
be
that's
Kalia
probably-
Davis at nose tackle.
Grant, I think that's probably the linebackers. Probably like the least of my worries, just because they've been able to
They'll
find
figure it
out.
out.
Yeah, whoever it'll be.
They'll
Whoever.
figure it out. Emmerich says backup quarterback 1 year deal. Darnold, Mayfield, Brissett. They have two starters in the team right now, and I think they'll draft another guy, and they'll probably sign another guy, and one of them will make the team, and one of them will go to the practice squad. They'll probably have 4 quarterbacks in their team. I say DTR because he went to my favorite school, and we're best friends. And what happens is players that went to UCLA, when they get in the locker room, I'm like, hey, UCLA. Like Quantrez Knight, we're like best friends. Every time I see people in the locker room, we give it.
What about Brendel?
No, I think I talk too much crap about Brendel. I think he knows it too. So I just kind of left him alone. I interviewed him one time at the end of the year, I swear. It went up on my YouTube channel last week before they played the Eagles. And I was like, so how much have you watched Jason Kelce throughout the years, and what do you admire about his game? And he really said, yeah, man, I mean, he's a lot like me. He's a little bit smaller. I was like, whoa. Can we come back to that first thing you just said, that you said about him and you being like a lot like each other? Because he's an all-pro. But you got to be. Brendel's probably feeling himself after that Pro Bowl alternate selection, baby. Coach says, Cal just killed me. I'm in a meeting, bro. Me and my wife been saying that for months, man. Cal. Zachary Kelway says the entire NFL is trying to pilfer any coach who shook hands with Cal. I say hire Steve Wilkes. Did we get you already? Yeah, I think we did. Cal will figure that out, and Cal we trust. Did the opportunity cost of drafting Lance cost Super Bowl? No, because that assumes that you could win it with Jimmy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. No.
I think they needed to improve at quarterback. They probably needed a guy who could play a little quicker.
They might have it in Lance or Brock Purdy, but they got both those guys injured, so they can't figure it out.
Good point. Thank you. Ricky says, "Hey, I saw this. It's true. You'll never know." But they said it's the players. It's on them to prove that they can stay healthy. Hey, I saw the Sly and the Family Stone album behind you. Is that your mom's? Also got a favorite album on that wall. It is my mom's. My favorite album on this wall. Which one would it be?
The ABBA album. Is ABBA on there with Fernando?
I would say it's 1999 by Prince, which is right. Hold on. There. Let's get Prince in the picture today. Prince. Right there. With Morris Day right next to him. Although it really should be Purple Rain next to Morris Day, but just saying. Nathan says, if Brock Purdy and Lance both get hurt this season, what are the chances of Bosa at quarterback? What about Cal at quarterback? All right, moving on. Let's rank the 49ers free agents most likely to return to the team this offseason. Who do you think's coming back?
Well, I'm gonna say I think most likely probably Mosley because he was hurt. But I still
Right.
think there's a I still think there's a chance because he played really well. And corner people
It's true.
need corners. Someone can offer him a deal, and it doesn't have to be necessarily a blockbuster deal. But
I
if
agree with you.
it's remember he's a
You're right.
UDFA, right? He's a UDFA, so he has not
Right.
made money. So
No. He's
this is
going to
his
go to the highest
opportunity,
bidder.
right?
And I think
So
what the Niners are hoping, to your point, is that this injury suppresses his value and they'll get like a hometown discount kind of thing. If that doesn't happen, he's gone.
right.
And they
And,
have Lenore, they have Womack, all that. I mean, it's possible that Lenore's starting on the outside and Womack's is the nickel next year. And Ward is gone. Mosley's gone. Both of them.
yeah, I think Ward is a high. Like,
He's going to get paid, and they're not going to pay
he's
him.
more than likely not going to come back.
I don't
I
think so.
I think Jimmy more than likely not going to come back.
Garoppolo? No.
Yeah.
No.
The two Jimmys gone.
I think so.
Um,
I think so.
Mike McGlinchey, I think we just talked about him earlier. I think the market is going to price him out as well. The Niners only have 16 million cap space available right now. They have now they're going to have to do some cap maneuvering, I think, and they will. So I think they'll restructure some contracts and maybe they get themselves like 10 mil. But they got to pay Bosa. They got to sign their draft class, which I think is going to eat up around 8 or 9 mil. So like
real quick, you know what's interesting? The fact that there's going to be a new D coordinator. This could change who they want to keep. You know, the new D coordinator might be like, hold on, I want Jimmy Ward. I don't want Deshaun Gibson. Deshaun Gibson could go to Houston with D'Amico. That could be D'Amico's guy. So some of these guys, you don't know. Maybe Mosley goes to Houston too. Who knows?
here's the other thing too. I don't know how much Deshaun Gibson has been paid in his career either. He just came off a really nice career. If someone throws money at him, why should he say no?
Right. So he could go year to year with the Niners and give them a discount when he's 33 years old. Like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I don't think the Niners are going to get away with just like offering him Jaquiski Tartt type of deal. You know, maybe
No,
they will.
he might be kind of expensive too. Not expensive, but he might be
more than they want to pay for.
right. Right. I mean, the gap between him and Jimmy Ward might not even be that big. I don't know. And also, you don't know who D'Amico wants to take with him. That's a team that's probably got cap space and a lot of open starting spots.
Remember, Saleh didn't. I don't believe Saleh took anybody with him. The guy that he didn't take anybody with him initially, right? He signed.
I don't think Saleh has a ton of personnel power in New York. Maybe D'Amico doesn't either. I don't know.
Well, I don't think so. I don't know that. Remember, Caserio is in that Texans. I think he's.
What about Jawan Jennings?
He's a free agent.
I think
Is it
so.
an RFA?
Let me see. Jawan Jennings. Is he an RFA? No, he's. What am I doing? He's an ERFA? Really? So I guess he's coming back, huh? He's coming back. Too bad. He might have got paid, but he ain't. So he's coming back. Let's see who else. Jordan Willis, Tabor Pepper. Gotta bring back Tabor. If they don't bring back Tabor Pepper, they are not serious about winning a championship. That guy, the consistency. No one gives him. No one talks about Tabor Pepper. Pisses me off. Sometimes I just sit around here like this, thinking about Tabor Pepper and how little credit he gets.
He has a good Twitter account, though.
He does. He does. It's important for your long snapper to be active on Twitter. I like that.
How about the guy that he snaps the ball to, Robbie?
Oh, he's out. He's gone.
Robbie Gould.
He's
Robbie
gone.
Gould.
Definitely gone. So gone.
Who?
What about Samson Ebicom?
Gone.
Gone. What about Charles Menehu?
He's got some issue. Depending on he
gone.
Think so.
He's gonna get paid, unless his issue prevents him from getting paid. Although he hasn't even gotten charged with anything yet.
A guy like but a guy like Menehu, they've shown in 3 consecutive years that they could find that guy.
Exactly, and that's supposed to be Drake Jackson.
They shouldn't pay Menehu.
No, Kerry Hyder.
Stay.
Yeah, why not? Right, Hassan Ridgeway.
Depends how they how they could replace
Yeah.
him, but
As a last resort, Maurice Hurst.
gone. But like, who cares? Like, maybe
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Like you can come to camp, maybe. Camp body. Yeah. Jason Verrett.
Gone.
Yeah. Tavarius Moore.
Gone. But who cares?
Yeah, I mean. So then I think there's Colton McKivitz. They could probably keep him.
They'll keep him
Kevin
if they
Givens. Aziz Al-Shair's gone too. He's going to Houston, I bet.
Is Givens an RFA or he's a UDFA?
Let me see. Maybe he's a UFA. Good player.
He is a good player.
I like him. What are you? Oh, I don't know.
But
Where you at, bud?
Like, yeah.
RFA.
Okay.
It's coming back. Thank God. So really, I mean, it's possible they don't bring back. I mean, what they do is they just give Nick Bosa all the money in the world and they could lose a lot of guys. They could lose a lot of guys. They could lose Mosley. They could lose Ward and Gibson, or keep one of them.
And they don't.
They keep one of them.
It's gonna be tough with their cap space, man. I just like they might be able to keep Gibson. I would say. I would bet on Gibson.
Gibson's most likely, right? He'll be the cheapest.
Gibson and Mosley were probably the two, and Mosley maybe only because he's injured. But if Mosley wasn't injured, he'd be gone.
Given how well Lenore played in the playoffs, I could see the Niners saying, you know what, we're gonna give Mosley this much of an offer, and if anyone goes over, we're totally cool with Lenore.
I think their expectation coming into the season before Mosley was hurt was that they were going to lose Mosley in this free agency.
Right.
That's why they drafted Womack. That's why they drafted Lenore. That's why they drafted Ambry Thomas and all those guys.
They saw this coming. And to your point, they still could get priced out. So really the guy who's most likely to return is like the RFAs. Jawan Jennings, probably Gibson. Although, I wonder with him, he's an older DB, but at the same time, he's been really consistent his whole career. Good player.
Yeah. Another thing could happen, right? If, like, let's say D'Amico's got a bunch of draft picks and all that, and what if he likes Kevin Givens and he wants to sign Kevin Givens, so you get a draft pick for Kevin Givens, and then if you have a lot of confidence in a guy like Kalia Davis can step in and he can play that Kevin Givens role, and then you get a draft pick from Houston.
Yeah, it'd be interesting
because they do need another edge guy opposite Bosa, another like impact edge guy. Ebicom's he's a solid player, but I don't think he's not impact edge guy. Like,
and neither is Drake.
Yeah, I don't know that he is either.
I think he's more of like an Amenahue, kicks inside, rushes from the interior kind of guy.
Yeah, maybe he will be this year. Maybe he'll be that guy that second year and he'll turn into a monster. But
when I asked Arden Key about Drake Jackson before the season, he said if you go back and look at his sacks, most of them came from the interior, and we kind of felt that he could do a lot of the things that Arden Key did for us. That's what he said. That's the vision. And if that's the role, then he needs to be stronger because Amenahue is way stronger than him, at least, or Key was too.
I'll make a adjustment. They don't necessarily need. They do need another. It'd be nice to have another impact edge player, but they need another impact guy on that defensive line. It could be an interior. Well,
it's supposed to be Armstead. It's supposed to be Eric Armstead. Maybe it will be.
I think Armstead is. I think
he's great. Stop talking about Eric Armstead. Yeah, he's great. He's phenomenal. He's definitely giving the Niners all that they're paying for. I agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going. Let's talk about Eric Armstead. He's great. So good. Yeah. He's the best defensive lineman with no sacks this year. He was by far the best defensive lineman who had no sacks this year, I thought. Nathan said if Brock Purdy and Lance both get hurt this season, what are the chances that Bosa... Did we get you already at Bosa quarterback? Yeah. Hold on. Beast Hydra says... Gave up with a half left, not going Wildcat earlier was disgraceful. This isn't a regular season game. It's the NFC Championship needed to show more. I felt like you got to go Wildcat. But I think they would have if they could have, and I think the coach said they probably didn't install it. What's the deal with Verrett? I think he's probably done.
Yeah.
I think he's probably done. He's gotten hurt too many times. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think is the worst contract on the team this upcoming season?
I think I know where you're going with it. I
I
think
mean,
you're
it's
going
different every year, right? It's different every
You're
year.
going Armstead. You're going Armstead.
When I say worst, it's like it's the one that looks the most difficult for the player to live up to, given what the number is and the position they play.
You're going
Almost
Armstead. I
fell
know
off my-
last year you felt it was George Kittle, but I think Brock Purdy proved that wrong.
Well, I don't
seems
think
like
George
he
Kittle's
did.
cap number was like 8 last year. I think he was fine. I think it goes up this year. But if he stays healthy, I think he's shown that he can live up to that. Christian McCaffrey can live up to the 12 million they're paying him. Debo's number hasn't gotten big yet, but the two highest paid players on the team are Trent Williams and Eric Armstead. Let me just get the numbers real quick because it's staggering. Trent Williams' cap number this upcoming season is 27.2, and Eric Armstead's is 23.9. So let me just put that in context. Like, if Trent Williams were a quarterback, he would be the 12th highest paid quarterback in the league. And if Armstead were a quarterback, he'd be the 13th highest paid quarterback, 14th highest paid. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are getting quarterback money, and I don't know that I don't even know that quarterbacks can justify getting this much money. Left tackles and D tackles, maybe. But to me, look, you're the best left tackle in football. Okay. Eric Armstead, making more money than DeForest Buckner, making 10.3% of the salary cap. Okay. Well, he's going to need to stay healthy and I think produce a little bit more than in the run game and some pressures. At least to justify taking up 10% of the salary cap. 10%.
Do you know if you gave Armstead a post one cut, you would then have 24 mil in the cap space as opposed
Yeah, but it'd be a little late to use it. But yeah, it's too bad you can't trade him right now for a pick that you could use on another defensive tackle that the Niners would definitely get right.
I'd imagine what they're going to do is they'll probably restructure Armstead, restructure Kittle.
It's extend it. That's great. Yeah, just keep
restructure McCaffrey.
They got to do something with this. You can't have Eric Armstead taking up 10% of your cap because he's a good player, but there is no world in which he's that good. That is way too. I mean, I don't even like spending that on quarterback on a D tackle whose main gift is run defense. No, you gotta work that out. Can't have that.
If they don't restructure, I think that it'll be a hint that they may want to cut him next year because they would look at it and be like, all right, well, we don't want to take that huge hit. If we have to restructure, then cut him next year. That's our plan. We just get rid of him next year. But
he missed half the season this year, and I don't know what his cap number was way lower this year. So when he's on the bench, it's okay. It's $8 million on the bench. That's not the end of the world. You put $24 million on the bench for half a year, you're going to notice it, probably. And we just went through all the guys who aren't coming back most likely this year. There's a lot of D linemen we listed. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Armstead, great player, man. Like, this would be a great time for you to do that 2019 thing you did again, if you could, please.
Well, they got to get more help on that D line. Like we thought, like at the beginning of the year, we thought that this is the greatest D line ever, and then
I gave it a C+ for this year. It was
really
Bosa. It was called Bosa. I don't know, and we're saying like the Niners need to get a complimentary pass rusher. Well, it'd be great if the D lineman they're spending $24 million on this year could do that. That's generally what you're expecting when you spend $24 million on a D lineman, regardless of position, is that he's going to be a factor as a pass rusher. And I do not believe that the Niners extended this man's contract thinking he wouldn't be a factor. You gave him the deal after he had 10 sacks in a season. You thought you would unlock something with Chris Kasarik. You didn't unlock nothing because he's got fewer than 10 sacks since then. I'm sorry. He needs to be the guy they thought he was, which is more than the person. On Twitter, people just constantly say he's so underrated. Like, is he underrated? Or is he the guy that's everyone says is underrated, so now he's overrated?
What's his pressure rate?
I don't know. Is that what you're paying? I don't know. $24 million. $24 million. You know how I feel? The double-digit rule with salary cap percentages, the double digit rule. Like that should be for quarterbacks only. And they should be for top 5 quarterbacks. Do you want one good defense? And we're going to talk about it now. So the next guy who's going to be the next highest paid person is Nick Bosa. When he gets paid, it's going to be crazy. He's going to be making 35 plus million a year. It's going to be a lot guaranteed. He's going to be like a top 10 quarterback in the league in terms of money. How you feel about that? A DN.
I mean, I think there's 3 positions you pay: quarterback, tackles, and defensive ends or pass rushers. So I'm fine with paying that. I think what you don't want to pay, Grant, is like you don't want to pay like the quarterback position, or like you don't want to pay high price for mediocre play. You're paying a premium. You're paying for a premium for a premium pass rusher. Like, so you can argue, maybe Nick Bosa wasn't the best defensive end or pass rusher in the game, but he's definitely in the top 3. So,
and you're going to pay him like he's number 1.
Yeah, but that changes yearly, right? So like he's going to be number 1 this year, but then next year he won't be. So,
that's true.
Your value is you're going to get probably minimum top 5 for him, top 5 play for him, as high as 1, and his pay is going to be around that. I don't think the contract isn't necessarily Bosa. It's like
how many guys on your team can you have making double digit and making like 10 plus % of your salary cap? How many? The Niners are going to be at 3 pretty soon.
That's a problem.
3. That's crazy to me. And I guess Bosa's not the problem. But at a certain point, you're way too top heavy. And we already said the Niners' problem on their D-line is just Bosa and no one else. Well, that's only going to be exacerbated once he's making $37 million a year.
Right. I think people applauded the Christian McCaffrey trade at the time and they gave them the push for the Super Bowl. But now that's $11 million or $12 million it's eating into their cap right now.
Yeah.
Right. And last year people killed me when I suggested trading Debo. I was looking ahead and all right, well, I know Debo's really good, but you got IU coming up. I feel like you can always find wide receivers in the draft. Trade a guy, give yourself cap room, and then draft another wide receiver. But.
Yeah, I'm just checking Hassan Reddick out real quick. What is his situation? Is he a free agent?
He's a free agent. Fletcher Cox.
Do you think they're going to re-sign him?
They're not going to be able to keep all their guys. If you look at they are cap strapped, and they've got, I believe Fletcher Cox is a free agent. Their other defense tackle is a free agent. And
no. They got Reddick. They got Reddick for next year. He signed through 2020. He signed through 2024, and his cap number is Fletcher. Well, Fletcher's older, but I mean, he's got no guaranteed money this year. They could cut him, but his cap number is $20 million this year. Hassan Reddick. That's reasonable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want a premier edge rusher, and I'm down to spend $20 million on him, but Nick Bosa, is he that much better than Hassan Reddick that you're going to spend $35 million a year? Like, I know the Niners are going to give it to him. And I know if they traded him, it would be like the Oakland A's. It would be very unpopular. But, man, some of these positions, they're expensive, man. Do you have a good O-line or a good left tackle? Do you have a good D-line or a good D-end? You tell me.
You brought this up with the Eagles. If the Eagles decide to they drafted the center last year and they decided they're going to move on with that guy, would you, if you were the Niners, if Kelsey was in the market?
Yes. See, to me, instead of getting the highest paid D end or left tackle, because those are like quarterback positions, you could trade Nick Bosa for $1 million first round picks, and they'll go get like a great corner, a great center, a great right tackle, all positions that are cheaper than that. But
so, if Niner fans, if you don't have a rooting interest in the Super Bowl, maybe you should root for Kansas City, since you hate the Eagles anyways because they just stopped. Root for Kansas City, so that way it'll make Kelsey want to play another year, and then maybe the Niners might be able to pull off a trade and trade for
Kelsey would be he's so good. He would make them so much better. If they could get Kelsey and Lane Johnson too.
Oh, yes.
Lane Johnson, I think that the highest paid players on the Eagles are Darius Slay and Lane Johnson. I bet you Darius Slay gets extended and reworked. And Lane Johnson's making about $24 million a year, which is a lot, but it's not as much as Trent. But he's not as good as Trent. Other than those two, I don't think there's anyone else on that team making more than like $11 million a year. If you want to look at a team, to me, the model organization right now is Philly. Sorry if I'm too much. I feel like Howie knows what he's doing. Maybe it's because it's a Jewish thing.
Slay's making his cap number is 26.
I know they got to do something about that. That's too much. That's way too much. But I feel like they will, because look at the rest of the people. Like, no one else is making more than 11. Him and Lane Johnson making 20 plus. Everyone else is cheap. Jalen Hurts will be expensive eventually. But it seems like they kind of understand you can't be too top heavy in this league. You got to have a serious middle area of your team like this. Like this is what it looks like. The middle area of the team. You can't just be, you know what I'm saying? It helps when you talk with your hands. Otherwise, people wouldn't understand what you're talking about. Right. You have to. 2.0 says, I think they need to draft another quarterback. Seems like they are completely dependent on having a quarterback on a rookie deal at this point. Any Purdy's out there? DTR.
I think Purdy's a one of a kind. I think it's they got lightning in a bottle with him. I don't know how many guys.
And then they let it go. The lightning was in the bottle, and then they let it go.
They smashed it on the ground.
Hey, that's cool. Goodbye. Yeah, we'll get lightning in a bottle again. No problem. Other than personal concern, what do you think Trey and Brock's parents thought when they seen their son was hurt?
Like this is one of those questions. I mean,
it's football.
What do you expect a parent to think when they see their son get hurt? Like,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe
you weren't the one to ask Kittle how he felt after he lost the NFC Championship game, right? That wasn't you, or was it?
That wasn't me.
Yeah, I didn't.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No. Josh, it wasn't me. Josh Wyatt says, I think the best thing that could happen for the Niners is for Trent to retire. It opens up all kinds of interesting flexibility. Yeah, I mean, it would free up a lot of cap space, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If they could replace him, sure. Because I think he's making a lot of freaking money to be tipping plays over here. Could you get someone who doesn't tip plays and is also good and is way cheaper? I'm with you, Joshua. I see what you mean on that one. Maybe Armstead could retire too. No, sorry. Gizmo Maltese says when you're close, it's up to the front office to get you that Super Bowl. Sure. It's up to the whole organization to do what it takes to get over the hump. 2.0 says, do you think this year showed that Kosterick might be a little overrated and really just a beneficiary of a great D-line? I mean, I didn't think the D-line was that great this year. I didn't think it was. They banked on him being able to work magic with a bunch of people who weren't that great, and I don't think he worked a ton of magic. But he had injuries and stuff. I don't know. Armstead was out. Kinlaw was out. What was he supposed to do?
He's been awesome.
Was hurt. Yeah.
But he's been really good for four. Like, I wouldn't say Kosterick has been okay. So if the defensive line wasn't like top notch this year, it was still good. Like, what did you give them for the year? They weren't Fs. Like, they're still good. I still think Kosterick is very good. Maybe the best.
He's obviously very good, but I mean, what people like Rob Watson here are wondering is he essential to the freaking operation? Grant, your statement on the D-line performance is accurate, so why do we think keeping Kosterick is so critical? Let him walk and replace him too. You know who they should get? Jim Tomsula. But he would have been a good fit with Vic Fangio, who is...
Is he still in Washington?
No, he is a head coach in NFL Europe, which is still a thing.
NFL Europe?
Ryan Fire.
He's at the Ryan Fire?
I believe he's back at the Ryan Fire. I'm with you, Rob. I mean, I think it's kind of funny that, I mean, he's got this reputation, but last year, I mean, he didn't work magic. 2.0 says, agree. Is it possible all these D-line guys that revived their career are a result of playing with Bosa and Armstead, etc., as opposed to Kosterick? Armstead? Man. Armstead? Yeah, maybe Bosa. Although, it's like no one else had more than 5 sacks this year, so I don't even know about that, you know? I feel like Bosa's doing his thing right now. And there's only so much that he can do to make others better. That's the whole thing with this, like, paying a player 10, 11, 12% of the cap. Is the idea is he makes others better. Does he? Or is he just great? Does he? Does Trent Williams make Aaron Banks better? Maybe. I don't know. Does he make Mike McGlinchey better when he's tipping plays? I don't know about that. And he admitted that he does it. He was like, I don't see why I can't do it. Okay, Trent, that's cool. Sounds good. And the coach was like, yeah, man, I talked to him about it, but he just kind of wants to do it. So, you know, let's roll with it. It's like, okay.
They're like, all right, do you want to be the one to tell Trent Williams you can't do something?
Kyle just played dumb. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Trent's cool with me. Yeah. Chris Forster's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. We've talked about it, but he's not going to change. So we're just happy to have him. Yeah.
But Jimmy Ward comes in the office and Kyle's like, you want to ride the bench?
Yeah, I love Jimmy's answer too. Yeah, I want to play special teams. Also, I like how Jimmy Ward says pit instead of put. Have you noticed that? He always says, "Go ahead and pit me on special teams." That must be an Alabama thing. I'm not sure where he's from, but I'm gonna start doing that. Pit instead of put, because it's the same word. You know what they're saying, but it's cool. It sounds cool. Go ahead and pit me in special teams. Yeah, pit me there. I'll be good at it too. That's what he said. I'll be good at it too.
Do you think if Trent Williams got hurt and then came back, and I don't know, like whoever, Colt McKivitz was playing awesome, and then they wanted to play Williams at guard, and then he was like, "Nah, I don't want to play guard." You think?
You want to ride the bench?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to ride the bench, Trent? And it's like, no, because I'm making $27 million a year. You're not going to put $27 million on the bench. That's what Jimmy was thinking. Like, yeah, put $9 million a year on the bench. Go ahead. Go tell Jed York why you're doing that one. I love that. Both guys were trying to play it cool, right? Oh, yeah, go ahead. You can be on the bench. Oh, yeah, I love it. Thanks, Kyle. Sounds good. See you tomorrow. See you in the special teams meeting. What do you think of that style of coaching?
I don't know. I was also I've been sarcastic too with my players too. So I don't know. I can't really, like, maybe as a, you can't be like that all the time. But I mean,
yeah. But to your point, there are certain players he wouldn't do that with, right? There are certain players that either he wouldn't mess with them, or if he did, he would like sit them down, apologize, and explain it, and be like, "I just want you to know how much I love you and I really value you." But with Jimmy, it's like he got like a note in his locker or something. It's like, "Hey, I'm in nickel now. Like, I gotta come to you and talk about this. You're gonna play it cool and be like, well, your options are you could go to the like." Okay, like, all right.
Yeah.
So much for you saying I'm your favorite player on the team and you wish your son had my jersey. Like, I guess that was all baloney. But all right, I'll play nickel. I'll be good at that.
Yep. The other part to the whole Ward free agency thing is the Niners probably don't want him back at free safety, and he probably wants
because they got a 33-year-old solution in there. Yeah, I feel that, man.
And he probably wants to play free safety, so other teams can offer,
Any team that offers him a job at safety is probably going to – because safety pays more than nickel.
Yeah.
It does. So the Niners could be like, we're making you a top 5 paid nickel in the league. And some team could be like, we're just going to give you a standard safety salary. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll take that. Thanks. But thanks for your, like, super great offer, John. Ann Nunez says, Grant, have you found out if Brock is getting surgery? If that's the case, we need to sign 3 more quarterbacks. Don't think Trey has what it takes to win games. It feels like the Niners are putting all the pressure in the world on him not to have surgery. And so far, it sounds like he probably won't. I think the young kid, wants to be out there and please his team and all that. But he better be careful.
Yeah,
if he comes back with a weaker arm, he's in trouble.
He should do whatever's best for him. Obviously, I'm like as a fan or a fan of the team, I would love to see him back, and I did like Trey will get his time, and then you have Brock returning, and he would return. Trey, if Trey can't get it done, then Brock would come back, and then you'd have Brock be able to play. But obviously, I understand if he needs to get that surgery, he needs to do whatever's best for him.
I wonder how expensive Ward's going to be. I mean, 32, was he 32-year-old DB? 31, 32?
Well, what's the safety market? It's also relevant to who else is out there, right?
Ward seems like the kind of team that a team in contention would go get, a team that feels yeah.
The other thing with Ward though is if you're a team, since he can play safety, right? Or safety and nickel, so you're essentially in a pinch, like if you were to need a nickel, then he could play that for you. Yeah,
kind of like what Kansas City did with Tyrann Mathieu for a few years. Right. I'm sure Jimmy Ward would be fine playing nickel if he also got to play safety. You know what I'm saying? If he started as safety and got paid safety money and you asked him to play nickel on third down, like I'm sure he would do that.
I'm sure Jimmy Ward would be happy to play whatever if you just paid him. Like I think if he's if he gets paid, if
that's
he's paid
a
highly,
concept. That's a concept.
he will probably play edge.
All right, let's wrap this show up. These shows are getting 90 minutes, gargantuan shows. We got to bring this back down for the off season because no one wants to talk about. No, they do. They really do. 2.0 says, Niners don't want Brock to have surgery. I thought they wanted him to have the brace procedure, just not Tommy John. No surgery sounds no bueno. Yeah, you're right. They're both surgeries, I guess. But they want the one that brings him back in, that's a repair instead of the reconstruction. And that one comes with the risk of decreased arm strength, as, from what I hear. Gary Be Good, who is related to Johnny Be Good, says, your show is cutting edge and very informative. Hey, thank you.
Is this the first time? Is he a first time viewer?
Yeah, I think so. Gary Be Good.
Wow.
Gary Be Good. Thank you, Gary.
Josh Wyatt says, put it on twice.
That's right. A little more time. Josh Wyatt says, I love Jimmy Ward, but he needs to face facts. He's the best nickel in the league or a top 20 safety on the wrong side of 30 that's never made a Pro Bowl. Yeah. Well, he could let the market let him dictate what he's worth.
The market's going to dictate. But I think you could argue he probably should have made a Pro Bowl. I mean, if you look at it this year, should Talanoa Hufanga made the Pro Bowl or should Gibson have made the Pro Bowl?
Gibson. Good call.
Yeah.
Good call. And that's an honesty hour and a half. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you very much, Coach, for giving me an hour and a half of your time on what looks is probably a beautiful day in Brazil.
Yeah.
Nice town.
Buddy.
I mean, country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back.
Cohn phone tomorrow?
I'm either going to do it this afternoon or tomorrow morning. I might do it this afternoon, but I might do it tomorrow morning. I guarantee I'm going to do it one of the two, though. I just haven't decided which one. Because you get different people depending where you do it. He's always first, Korean no matter what.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he still first?
He's always, oh, are you kidding? Absolutely. Some people take stuff seriously. He takes that seriously. I respect that. You know? Some people have a standard that they hold themselves to, unlike Cal. All right, guys. Appreciate you watching. See ya.
There's you guys.
Cal.